For Sarah Ferguson, whose public image has swung between scandal and sympathy for decades, this next chapter may finally offer a form of exile she can control. Biographer Andrew Looney predicts she will likely choose Switzerland, where she has long-standing connections and a history of retreat. For Andrew, the outlook is less certain. His rumored palace in Abu Dhabi offers both luxury and invisibility, the perfect conditions for a man the world no longer wishes to see. It would not be the first time a Windsor sought refuge abroad when scandal rendered Britain uninhabitable. Edward VIII and Wallis Simpson fled to France in 1937. Princess Margaret evaded the press through Caribbean retreats. Even Diana, in her final summer, sought sanctuary on the Mediterranean. Royal exile carries a long tradition. It simply changes its form with each generation. And yet, there is something distinctly modern in Andrew's downfall. Unlike his predecessors, he is not being exiled for rebellion, but for reputation. His disgrace is not political, but personal, born not of defiance, but of denial. The monarchy, once able to bury scandal in silence, now confronts it in plain view. For King Charles, this crisis is both familial and existential. The royal family he leads must appear united and renewed, a slimmer, cleaner institution for a skeptical public. Yet the presence of his brother at Windsor, ensconced in privilege and controversy, threatens that image. What was once a private family matter has become a branding problem. Behind the scenes, sources describe a kind of royal chess game. The king moves slowly but deliberately. Each decision, the cutting of allowances, the withdrawal of titles, the subtle public distancing, advances the inevitable endgame. Remove the Yorks from Windsor, and the monarchy can breathe again. Still, the image of Royal Lodge lingers, a house that has become a symbol of entitlement's last stand. Photographs of the mansion show a stately facade, immaculate gardens, and drawn curtains. But inside, the reality may feel less regal. A household shrinking, a life retreating. The irony is sharp. Royal Lodge once stood for continuity, a family home preserved by tradition. Now it represents the opposite, a reminder of what the monarchy is striving to outgrow. If Andrew does leave Britain, it will not be framed as exile. It will be presented as a personal decision, a choice to seek privacy abroad. But the subtext will be unmistakable. A final act of containment, a quiet erasure rather than a scandalous departure. And so the story concludes, as most royal stories do, not with spectacle, but with silence. The same silence that fell when cameras waited for a palace announcement that never arrived. The same silence that now fills the corridors of Royal Lodge. If Andrew and Sarah truly depart, it will be without ceremony, without farewell, no statement, no portrait, no procession, just two figures stepping into history's margins. One, disgraced. One loyal, both relics of a royal past that no longer fits the present. Perhaps this is how the monarchy endures today. Not by defending its members, but by outlasting them. By turning scandal into distance and distance into forgetting. Royal exile in the 21st century no longer requires ships and foreign shores. It means unanswered calls, withheld funds, and the quiet persuasion of inevitability. Somewhere behind the gates of Royal Lodge, a decision is already taking shape. Whether in Windsor, Switzerland, or Abu Dhabi, the story of the Yorks seems destined to conclude far from the home they once called their own. And as the lawns of Windsor fade into winter, one question remains. When the crown chooses survival over blood, what is left of family at all? The gates of Royal Lodge stand half open, bathed in autumn light and silence. Beyond them, the lawns of Windsor stretch into a stillness heavy with history and consequence. For 2 decades, this house has served as the private sanctuary of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson. But now that quiet refuge may be nearing its end. The question echoing through Windsor's corridors is no longer if they will leave, but where they will go. Before we proceed, there's something I should mention. Over the past few days, thousands have watched these stories unfold, yet most have not subscribed. If you're one of them, I invite you now to join us. Subscribe to Crownverse so you never miss the next chapter in this unfolding royal saga. In recent months, the crown's patience has thinned, and the public's tolerance has all but vanished. Prince Andrew, long stripped of official duties and military honors, has endured a slow and relentless unraveling, not through announcement, but through quiet exclusion. His name has become a burden even the monarchy struggles to bear, and now reports suggest that exile in everything but name may be the final stage. According to royal biographer Andrew Looney, the disgraced Duke and his ex-wife are considering what could be their most significant move yet, leaving Britain entirely. Looney told Hello magazine that he's being encouraged to relocate to his palace in Abu Dhabi or to adopt Swiss nationality. The remark is measured, yet it carries weight. In royal parlance, encouraged is often code for being urged to vanish. For years, Royal Lodge has been both fortress and fault line, set within Windsor Great Park. It's a 30-room mansion steeped in memories of privilege and decline. Once the home of the Queen Mother, it became Andrew's domain in 2003, secured under what was described as an ironclad 75-year lease with the Crown Estate. That agreement made him nearly immovable, a prince without duties, yet with a deed. But the world beyond those gates has shifted. Since his association with Jeffrey Epstein became public, every facet of his private life has turned into a public reckoning. His financial dealings, his friendships, his attendance at royal events, each serves as a reminder of how far he has fallen from grace. Even Sarah Ferguson, long regarded as a figure of loyalty and redemption, has been drawn back into the storm once more. Her past connections to Epstein, including a now infamous email in which she described him as her supreme friend, have resurfaced. She insisted it was an act of desperation to protect her daughters after a threatening phone call, yet the damage persists. Now both find themselves cornered by consequence. Reports from the Daily Mail and the Times suggest that King Charles, their brother and former brother-in-law, has been urging Andrew to vacate Royal Lodge for some time, even prior to the latest wave of scandal. The king, ever diplomatic and public, is said to have offered Frogmore Cottage, the former home of Harry and Meghan, as a more modest alternative, but Andrew has refused. The reasons are part pride, part survival. Royal Lodge remains his final symbol of belonging, the only reminder of a status that has long since faded. To leave would be to acknowledge the end of the York legacy as it once stood. Privileged, visible. Legal complications further muddy the waters. The lease signed 2 decades ago grants Andrew a long-term hold on the property, provided he maintains its upkeep. In practice, this means that even a king cannot simply evict him. Yet Charles can act in a more subtle way. He can turn off the flow of royal support. A friend of the king, quoted by the Times, put it plainly: if Andrew refuses to leave within a reasonable period, the king may be forced to reconsider the entire package of support he provides. The Duke would then have to cover his own security, housing, and lifestyle, sums which, given the scale involved, make long-term feasibility highly unlikely. It is a threat without anger, yet it remains a threat. Behind the measured statements and polite briefings lies a simple truth. The monarchy seeks distance. The optics of Andrew and Fergie living rent-free on royal grounds while under public condemnation are impossible to defend. And so the palace has begun to do what it does best: act slowly, quietly, and decisively. Royal sources reveal that journalists were recently tipped off to anticipate an announcement from Windsor, possibly regarding Andrew's future at Royal Lodge. Cameras assembled. The gates remained closed, and then, without explanation, the palace reversed course. There would be no statement after all. The silence spoke volumes. That uncertainty has only fanned speculation that Andrew's tenure at Royal Lodge is ending gradually, not through confrontation, but by attrition. Each passing month brings another report of tension, another quiet withdrawal, of privilege, another reminder that his isolation is now policy.